I'm Melissa.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to
And the cows are
Tuesday.
back.
But
The
not
cows are
me.
back. No, you're not here with the cows. Just me and the cows.
You're only supposed to be the background when I'm there next to you.
Oh, wow. We got the plants showing up today. Never had
Wow,
that
you
before. It's
decorated the set a
different.
little bit more.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thought I'd add
Well,
some greenery in here.
yeah, I needed some live greenery. Not that that's alive, but
So still need it.
before you know it, you'll be looking back here and seeing pumpkins and a Christmas tree. Not really. It is crazy though because
True.
next week is July 4th already.
I know, I was thinking that
So
just in the year in general. I feel like
yeah,
it's gone by really quickly. Especially
yeah,
like when I forget, oh, it was Hobby Lobby who already had the Halloween or fall stuff up. I
yeah.
don't really like. Yeah, we've talked about that before. I hate that. Um, which, but especially summer just started,
Right.
so we just had the first day of summer, and oh, sorry guys, I'm getting alerts from my app. It said my volume is too high.
Oh,
So anyways, the first day of summer just passed us, which is crazy because maybe it's just because we live in Florida and it's been hot here for a minute and
yeah,
it's felt like summertime for a minute, but I feel like it's been summer. So when I
yeah.
found
I
out that the
mean,
first day of summer just happened, I'm like, wait, it was still
yeah,
spring this whole time?
yeah. I know, I know. Down here, it's so different because like as soon as it's warm, I'm like, well, it's summer. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there's
One
that.
I've been
There's
going to the
that.
pool for months.
Yeah. But then there's that flip side of it where it's like, okay, we're too. I get in that mindset, and that's kind of in line with our topic today.
Hmm.
I get in that mindset of, okay, it's July 4th. Well, used to be like, gosh, after July 4th, before you know it, it's August. And then it's September and everybody's back in school and it's starting, up there, weather's starting to change and all that. And that's where people, again, come August, we'll be talking about pumpkin spice again, I'm sure. Um, and it's just, I don't like it because, like, you know, I'm still enjoying my pool time and I want to continue to enjoy my pool time. And
I
contrary to
agree.
what people may think about, living in Florida, unless you have a heated pool, you're not swimming in it probably after September.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm still
Um,
enjoying my pool time. Don't rush fall.
Me too. I'm enjoying the pool, the beach, and yeah, so that's kind of what our topic is today, which is just summertime, vacations, all that jazz. So yeah, it had me thinking because obviously, like, the kids are out of school. You know what's funny about that is I remember when I worked in an office and I loved this time because the route that I took to get to the
Yeah.
office around this time of year, when there's school buses, it took me like so much longer because there were just so many
Yeah.
school buses. If you're stuck behind one of those short lights and you're stuck behind a school bus, forget it. You're not making the light. Like, they're going to take a little bit. They go
Yep.
slow through it. Rightfully so. They're carrying children. But, I'm late.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, that is true. I always remember that too when I had a commute that like as soon as school was out, it was like your commute took half as long because there was, and it's not just the
yeah,
school buses too, because there's less,
just more
there's less
people.
parents on the road,
Yeah.
taking their kids to and from school and all that. It was just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One
So,
of,
with obviously all the children out on summer break, it makes me miss being school age.
yeah,
I guess college kids get summer break too.
yeah,
But yeah, it's funny because like kids, they want when you're a kid, you want to grow up and you hate school and you just want to be an adult so bad and all of that.
yeah,
But you know, one thing they don't really warn you about is once you get out of school, no more summer breaks, which
Unless you
obviously,
become a teacher.
unless you become a
If you
teacher,
become a teacher, you still get that.
but even some teachers, I think like depending how they get their pay, because I know they can either choose to get it just for the months that they're in, like bigger checks during the months that they're
Right.
in school, but then they don't get paid when they're not in school, or they can like separate it to get it over the summer, which I would probably do because
Right.
I would hate
Right.
just
Because
like not.
otherwise you'd want to work over the summer.
And
And
which
then
I
what's
think
the point?
a lot of teachers do that. A lot of teachers do
Yeah.
get like little summer jobs. So, and even then, it's still not the same carefree as, when you're a kid and summer break happens and you just, I mean, I couldn't
Oh,
wait.
that last day of school feeling. Actually, that last week of school feeling where like maybe you're only going half days.
Yeah.
Maybe, like you're not going at all. You're like you're showing up, taking a test and leaving, that kind of thing. Yeah, that was like the
The
best. And
best. The
that
best.
yeah, cleaning out your desk that last day of school, taking all your pencils.
Because like when you're a kid and you're going on summer break, even if you're a teacher and you're getting the summer off or whatever, you still got to worry about things. You still got to worry about bills. You still got to worry about, things most times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're a kid, you get off for summer break and you literally my favorite part was sleeping in. I loved being able to just sleep in for such a long time. I will say it feels like summer breaks now are shorter than when I was a kid. I don't know
I think
why.
that's I think that's just a result of getting older because um I notice time in general passes quicker the older you get. Like, remember
Yeah,
when you were a kid from like the time school started till Christmas break, say, because that was like,
true.
the next thing you had to look forward to. It felt like forever.
Yeah,
Now think of the time from September to December. It's like you blink and you go from, Christmas to December. So I think that's more a matter of that like, because you're right. And then the other thing is summer break when you're a kid, like it's literally the end of something. It's the end of whatever grade that is. So when you go back to school the next year, depending on how the school like does it, you might be in with a different group of people. You might not have like the same classes and things. And so it's a big change, from one year to the next. Like it's literally at the end of something. So that makes that different too, because now if
yeah.
you're unless you're switching jobs, like when you're working somewhere, it's just the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I looked up like a little bit of the difference between then and now, and it did say that there's shorter breaks now.
Interesting.
Potentially. It says potentially. School calendars are changing with some schools moving towards year-round schedules,
Mm.
potentially shortening summer breaks.
Yeah, that one I don't get. That one I don't get.
Like the whole point is to have a nice long break. And
Yeah.
I but also at the same time because I've even seen a lot of back to school things now, which I'm like
Mm.
summer just
Yeah.
started, but like
Yeah,
I don't know.
I haven't noticed like Target being set up for back to school yet, but I don't know. I don't think
I'm
they are
getting
yet.
like emails. I get like emails of like back to school stuff. Like,
Yeah. Oh, after July 4th, that will be the next thing you'll see. That'll
mm-hmm.
that'll
Oh, that's
100%
true.
be the next thing you'll start
That's
seeing
true.
after July 4th.
And
It's
that
funny
was
how
also the worst being a kid like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, which is it's funny because like now when you guys were younger, like where you went to grade school,
Yeah.
when we lived up in PA, like you didn't get out until probably early June, and you didn't
Oh
start
yeah.
until like September or the very end of August. I think it was September though. And so
September was back to school.
yeah, so like when July 4th came, I mean, you still had most of July and all of August before you had to go back.
Mhm.
But down here, like I remember the one year people were up in arms because they started school on July like 31st. It was like the end of July, but it starts in like early August, right?
Yeah, this year it's August 10th.
Yeah. So that's a lot different because like July 4th's here and you got basically a month then and you're back in school.
Yeah. Um, it also said that outdoor, that back in the day, which this is true, it was more outdoor focused, emphasis on outdoor play like riding bikes, playing sports in the streets, and exploring dangerous playgrounds,
Wow. Yeah.
which is
That's funny
true.
because I always said it was even different for you guys because when I was a kid, like that was, I mean, summer vacation was like, I feel like it was every morning getting up, leaving the house on my bike, being gone like all day, and then coming back later, coming back in the late afternoon or that like out in the woods somewhere, climbing trees, building
Yeah.
forts, that kind of thing.
Even like when we were kids, you know, we had a little bit. Did you guys play like video games when you were younger during the summer? Because you guys had some kind of video game systems, but I
Yeah,
feel
they had
like
the
it wasn't,
Ataris. They had the Ataris,
yeah,
and we played those. Yeah,
but it
but I mean,
wasn't like it
you're
is
right. You
now.
wouldn't be. Yeah, you'd be on that for like a little bit, and then it'd be like you'd want to go do something else. Yeah,
Like when we were younger, obviously we had, growing up, we had the Nintendo 64. We ended up getting a GameCube eventually. We had the Wii eventually, but that was never like maybe it's I think it's also just the difference in games though too, because they were never games that you could just like sit around and play all day, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
Like now. Like
yeah. It
now
wasn't
they
like
have
Call of Duty missions where you're like on it for hours.
yeah, like you can't just keep play even, the Switch games like Super Smash and all
Yeah,
those Mario Kart, you can't really play those just all day the same way back in the day. Or I
right.
guess just we weren't. Maybe it was also because it was such a new thing that
I
everyone was
think,
still used to outdoor stuff.
yeah, I think you guys also were more like you were just more interested in outdoor stuff. Like it's not that we didn't have,
Yeah.
because like you're right, like we had all those systems, but I never
Hmm.
remember it being a thing where you guys would just sit,
Inside,
for
yeah.
hours and hours and hours. Except Chris staying up late, playing what RuneScape
No, yeah, he would play
when he was in
RuneScape.
school. He'd play that for
Yeah,
hours.
he
I
would play
remember,
that.
I remember it, and it was clearly during the summer because otherwise, school would have been in, and just hearing him out there click 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 click
Yeah.
click click click. Click. Shut that thing off.
Yeah. That's so funny. He was obsessed with that. Um, yeah, I mean, I think like when we were, because it's funny because the kids were asking recently, like, what did you do during the summer? I was like, I played outside. That's what I did. I played
Yeah,
outside. I would
yeah,
wake up, I would get ready. Like maybe we would sit around and watch TV for a little bit in the morning. We would sleep in and eat our breakfast and watch a little bit of TV and stuff. But then mom would eventually kick us off the TV anyways because she wasn't about to have us watching our show on there all day.
right.
And and it's even if it was in our room, like I think it was also just a thing of we just were not able to just sit inside on our TV all day and just
Yeah, no,
do
too
nothing
much
either.
electricity. Plus, the
Too much
thing is, like,
electricity.
yeah. Plus,
True.
the thing is, if you were like in the house all day too, like especially up there when we lived up there, it got hot, because
Oh
nobody had
yeah, because
central
you didn't.
AC up there.
Yeah,
So,
you had to
and
be in the
plus, I
living
think we
room where
had
the
like
AC
when you guys
was.
were younger, we always had like one of those, those little inflatable ring pools out, so you
Yeah,
guys would be out in
exactly.
that. I mean, your brothers would always be
Mhm.
outside like playing baseball and that kind of thing. So,
I was just
yeah,
talking
there.
about that the other day. I was talking about we would play run the bases,
Yeah, run the
which
bases.
really wasn't when I have told people before that I've played run the bases, they think it's a different game than like what we played.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
that
always
was a
have to
game.
be
That was a
like,
game. That was one we played when I was a kid too, where it's just like it's basically the equivalent of you're trying to steal a base in baseball. It's
one person here, one person parallel, and then, well, not parallel, literally just
yeah,
across
yeah.
two
It's like
rocks, and then
yeah,
I gotta run to that base before they throw it and get caught.
yeah,
Yeah, so fun.
yeah. You can't.
So
Well,
fun.
I think you had to get tagged. You had to get tagged,
Oh,
so
yeah, 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 yeah.
it was
So I
like
can
running
run
between
circles
first base and
around you.
second base. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you couldn't go out of the baseline, so you
so
had to
fun.
just. Yeah, that
That was
was that
a
was. I
that
used to
was
love
always
that
a
as a
fun
kid.
game. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. And then yeah, we had the pool. We would ride our bikes. We would have the friends in the neighborhood too, and we would like play
Mm-hmm.
with them.
Yeah.
Like there was just not really any days of. But I will say as well, you weren't staying inside because TV was also different. We didn't have the Netflix that you can just go on and, watch episode after
Also
episode of
true.
something. You have to watch whatever is on TV at the time. And if your favorite show isn't on, okay, they're not playing Fairly Odd Parents, they're playing this other stupid show I don't care about. So I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
not do that.
Yeah, that's
So
also true.
yeah.
That's also
But
one of my
yeah.
one of my favorite things that I always remember from like summer break when I was a kid is, you know, like baseball, like, the Phillies and that. I always remember loving if there was like because the West Coast games when they'd be playing like, Los Angeles or they'd be playing one of the teams out there, those games were always late. And I always remember staying up like till way late to watch, just watching those games. I used to love that just because it was, it was that time of year where you could stay up until midnight and, it was no big deal because you didn't have to be up the next morning to go to school or any of that. I just remember that was one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Um Another thing it says is then it was more family centric. Summers also often involved visiting relatives, going on road trips, and spending time at home,
Yeah.
which that's also one thing we would do a lot. We would
Yeah.
always go
Yeah.
on our vacation at that time. But you know what? Like, maybe it's, now that I'm older as well, it's kind of like once you get older and you have your job and stuff like that, it also turns into kind of okay, cool, you guys have off all day, but as a grown up, you have to take time off. You have to plan that
That's
time.
right.
I don't have off just all day to do anything and like
Yeah.
go to the pool every day and do fun things and go to these places during the day and just take a vacation whenever for however long. Like you have to
Right.
plan it around. Yeah, so thinking about the vacations that we would take, it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, wow, y'all really had to like fully plan that summer. We're just
Oh
looking at
yeah.
it like, oh yeah, we just have off school. Like, we just have,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's summertime. Come on, where are we going? What are we doing? But
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember when you guys were in school up there and we would come down on vacation. I feel like we did that in May, but that would have still been during the school year. So I don't know how we did that in May. I guess it was close enough to the end of the year that we were like, yeah, we're just taking them out for a week. You know what I mean?
it
Like
wasn't
I
May. It wasn't in like June or something.
no, I don't think so. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm misremembering. The other thing I always remember is doing like little parks, like Knobles, that kind of amusement park, or like when I was younger, it was
Yeah.
what was the one? Dorney Park in Allentown was another one that we would go to, like those little,
Mhm.
where you could go there for the day. It was driving distance of where we were, just hang
Yeah.
out there for a while. That was
Yeah.
always fun too.
Yeah. And it wasn't as hot up there. So it also wasn't as like down here. I do not
Yeah.
want to be in a but then when we went to Philly that one year, I was like, wow, wait a minute. Actually, it is kind of It
Yeah.
is kind of hot
I
up here. I don't know why I
no,
had an image that they weren't hot up here.
I always thought the heat up there, the heat and the humidity up there is just as bad as down here. Like especially where we lived up in the mountains, it
Hmm.
gets it's almost like it settles in the mountains there, and it just gets sticky and that and
Hmm.
um, but it lasts longer down here. We get more of it down here than you do up there. So you get the occasional breaks up there. We don't like come, this time of the year, we're not going to see a day where, the high is below maybe the upper 80s if we get like a cloudy day. Where up
Yeah.
there you could get a random day in June or July that the high is only in the mid 70s or something like that.
I would also say probably cooler nights up there because I
Oh yeah.
remember that's when we would also have our ceiling fans, and no way during the summertime can you
Oh,
have ceiling
yeah,
fans
those
here or
remember the
window fans.
window
Yeah,
fans?
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's what you're
talking
talking.
about, the window
Yeah,
fans.
that you leave them on for too long, and in the middle of the night it would suddenly get really cold.
Oh yeah, that was the best. Those window
Wow.
fans were the best. What's happening over there?
Yeah, that's weird. I got a notification on here about the A&M podcast posting a reel.
Oh,
That's
oh yeah, I
that's
did
real.
see that.
That's really odd. Oh, I thought that was somebody in the on the digital team did that while we
Oh,
were
doing
doing the
it while,
podcast. Yeah.
yeah, us
Yes.
filming triggered them
Yeah.
to post one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it
Yeah.
as
That
well.
could be what happened there.
Or it was me because I'm the digital team. Actually, we're both kind
Oh,
of the digital team, I guess, at this
yeah,
point.
we are. Yeah, we kind of share those responsibilities.
Yeah,
But
that's my
off,
only
off topic,
responsibility.
off topic of the podcast. But I was looking, and we had last week on YouTube. Shout out YouTube. We had 2,600 views in one week. We
2600
had
is pretty
twenty six
good.
hundred views. Yeah, that
I
was
was looking at some
pretty
of the
surprising.
reels. Yeah, some of them get up there. We've also been
Yeah,
getting more comments on TikTok, which is so nice. More
yeah,
interactions. We're getting more likes and comments and stuff, which it's like,
yeah.
oh hey,
I
hey
like it. I'm just
friends.
realizing. I'm just realizing I'm off center, so probably this whole time on screen because it smashes us together. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be half of
Oh,
me,
it'll
but
clip your arm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Okay, let's see what else did this say. Oh, potential. So this is, what is this? This is now. Potential for increased pressure. There's a growing emphasis on staying ahead in academics and extracurriculars, which can add pressure to the summer
Sure.
break.
Well, it's funny because I feel like that's a big difference. And maybe it's just like as you guys got older, when you're in high school, you're more focused on like, Chris he'd be in basketball camps
Hmm.
all summer and
Oh,
when he was playing
true.
football, it was like, late July probably you're starting to get into football workouts and that kind of thing. And that's more of a high school thing. But
Yeah.
I feel like things are changing so much with even with that kind of stuff, with the sports focused stuff, that
Yeah.
even at younger ages, like kids are always, they're going to camps and tournaments and all that kind of stuff, like very early on. That's really like taking up a lot of the summer that used to be just like the playtime. That's a shame. That's a shame because that's you
Yeah.
can't get that back, I mean, and I get it if your kid is good at sports and it's something that they might want to do through their high school career and their college career, and maybe if they're, lucky and talented professionally, you know, if you want to do that, you got to put the work into it. I get that, but it's just it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off that,
Well, I think a lot of kids too, you know, they're either like on summer break, it's a little bit different maybe than when we were younger because I think there's a lot more kids that are just in like the two parent working household where, both parents got, if the kids are like elementary schoolers, they're not just going to be left alone at home all day.
right,
So when both parents have to get up and go work, or if it's a one parent household, still same thing where one parent has to go and leave to go work. A lot
right,
of the kids are being put into summer camp programs, which, I will say they do fun things in those summer camp little things. It's not the same as like school where they're made to just learn the whole time,
Hmm.
but it's still not the same as like being able to just stay home and sleep in and wake up and eat like,
Yeah, it's still very structured. Yeah, yeah. It's the unstructured playtime is what you miss out on. Then but like I
mhm.
said, I mean that used to be the best to me. Is like get up at maybe 10. You know,
Yeah.
grab a bowl of sugary cereal to fuel me for the
Mhm.
day, and just go out and get at it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
spend some time playing baseball or whatever. It was just that was the best. That was the best. And it's funny because when you when you talked about this topic, I was thinking you wanted to talk more about like vacations, like now versus back in the day, like what people do on vacations now versus back in the day, like actual going on vacation.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think even on that, I think just a lot more people honestly, I should have looked up that statistic actually because in my head, I feel like a lot more people were taking family vacations, and honestly, I was looking at um like how much to stay at the beach for just any of the Florida beaches. Really, I've
yeah,
looked at a couple different ones.
yeah, yeah,
But recently I was looking at Destin just because it's so pretty out there. But man, a little beach house near the beach. Like some of them are on the beach and those are just like
yeah.
beautiful, but shoot,
Oh
they are
yeah,
so expensive just for literally like 3 nights. Three
yeah,
nights at the beach. It's, you know, 1500
yeah.
plus dollars.
Oh, I completely believe. I mean, when we did that one over at New Smyrna a couple of years ago, we looked at it while we were there, booking it for the next year, and
Mhm.
it wasn't quite double, but
Mhm.
it was close enough to double that it was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And we've looked like since then, and it's just they just keep going up. It's like, and I think it's because a lot more people do that. Like, because for like some of the stuff you were reading, back in the day, like when I was like, if we were doing a vacation, it might have been like we were going to go to the Jersey Shore for a day, or
Oh, yeah.
we'd go visit family or that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, where I think a lot more people now they do that, air travel, and they'll go places like that, and because we are a tourist state. We're a lot of our economy is based on tourism. There's a lot more competition for those things, unfortunately. So to do it here, it's like, yeah, it's a really you got to go in with like three or
Crazy.
four families and that
Yeah, that's
kind of
why I was
thing.
like, who can I invite?
Yeah,
Let me just look for one more bedroom and see who I can
yeah,
invite. Because it was
yeah.
so much money. And then I'm thinking, like, and it's not even that it's so much money, it's so much money for the amount of time that, like,
Right.
it is.
Yeah, it's such a short amount of time.
When
Yeah,
you think of 3 nights, like 4 days, 3 nights somewhere, and then, check in is later in the day, check out is at 11 a.m. So
right,
that last day, that's, not really even a full counted day because
right.
you got to wake up
Yeah,
and like
that's
get out. Even if I decide to still have a beach day that day, which I probably wouldn't, at that point, you just want to get home.
yeah. Yeah, that's
It's,
when we used to do like we first started doing the condo down there that we would do, and
mhm,
then that we did the house that one year.
mhm.
We would always end up leaving the night before our last day because it's only a drive first of all, and the last
Yeah.
thing that we wanted to do is get up in the morning, have to drive the half hour or whatever to come home, and that it was because you couldn't really enjoy the morning anyway. So it was like, well, we'll drive
Mhm.
back at night. We'll sleep in our own bed. We'll wake up and we'll have the whole day then at home.
Yeah. I'm not really going to have a beach day that day anyways. It's
Yeah,
funny
yeah,
because recently when I was at the beach, I was like right between, like, I was right close, very close to right in front of that beach house and very close to also where the condo was. I was like, wow, look, it would be nice to be able to just walk up those steps and go right back into that beautiful house and take a shower and like chill.
yeah. I know, right?
But, It is what it is. I'm just gonna take this 45-minute drive home instead. At least I'm still
Yeah.
in the same area, having the same kind of day. I just
Yeah.
don't get to go back up to a beautiful beach house.
You,
It's fine.
and go for a swim in the pool.
And go for a
Or
swim
maybe,
in the
you know
pool.
what? Maybe there was nobody staying there. Maybe you could have gone up and gone for a swim in the pool. Who
That's
knows?
true. That's true.
Yeah.
It didn't have a little code lock. I know how to open the gate.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But
I always
yeah,
wonder that about those places. Like when people have stayed there. I mean, some of them now are all digital. It's all computerized, so they can change the code when somebody leaves. But some of them, they're those old style. You know, that yeah, they're you put in a 4-digit code, but that 4-digit code is like unless you're going out to that beach house to manually go and change it, that code's not changing. So it's probably the same code to open that gate to get into the pool area. I wonder how often people go and stay there and then just go back and are like, let me check it out here, see if anyone's staying.
even if I only go back like a week later,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure they're not, who knows? You can
yeah.
only make so many 4-digit codes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think what it would be what there can only be 10,000 different possibilities.
Yeah. I
It
think
would be
the obvious
9,999 plus zero or 0000. So
yeah, so, after a while I'll be sitting there looking suspicious, but gosh, I can't remember my code. Sometimes you just got to trail someone behind someone and they'll just
yeah,
as long as you look like you belong there, you belong there.
that's it. That's exactly
Um
it. Yeah.
but
Nobody,
yeah,
if nobody asks.
when I saw those prices, I was like, yeah, I
Yeah,
can't imagine families are taking as many vacations anymore. Like,
true.
it's just, we'll
Yeah,
go
and
to
I
the beach
wonder
for the day.
are the prices going up because of demand or are the prices going up because people are trying to make up for the fact that not as many people, you're trying to make up the fact that not as many people are seeing. Like I'd be very curious about that.
Yeah.
Is it because hey, we're charging what we can charge, what people are willing to pay? That's definitely part of it cuz if you say okay, well this one bedroom condo is $10,000 a night, you know, nobody's going to pay that $10,000 a night, so you can't set it that high. So it's yeah, I'm curious about that. I mean, like we've done it a few years, and it's just to the point now where like we were looking for your mom's birthday week, which is when we normally go,
Yeah.
and I didn't
Yeah.
see any. I mean, I saw some that were like, oh yeah, we could do that, but it's like you look at it and like you said, for the number of days and you look at the amount of money and you go, no, I can, if we want to go down that week, I'm off that whole week. If we want to go down that week for a day, we can leave early in the morning, go down and spend the couple hours that we want to on the beach and then
Mhm.
come back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're
Like,
lucky like that. We're lucky that we live,
mhm.
within a drivable distance of the beach. So,
Yeah. Even like when you think about it, honestly, it got to the point where they almost trick you because I'll be looking at places and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, 2300. This place is beautiful, but 2300 for 3
right.
nights at this beautiful beach house. That's a lot of money." And then you scroll down further and you're like, "Oh wow, this one's only 1200. Oh, this is only
Oh, yeah.
1100." But then
Yeah.
you start thinking like that's still a lot of money and that's a couple days, and that's just staying in the beach house. That's not counting, once you get there, you got to go buy groceries for
Right.
those couple days. So that's going to be
But
probably
you
a
have to
couple
have
hundred
groceries.
dollars.
You have to have groceries anyway. If you're at home, you have to have groceries too.
Yeah, but
The
not if
bigger
I
thing
already
to me
bought
is
groceries from home and
true.
I don't want to take those groceries from my house
Well,
and
there you
bring them
go.
to the beach. You know what I mean? Like,
But the bigger thing to me is when you're away like that, you're also going to have a tendency to want to go
go
out
out
to
to
eat
eat.
somewhere
I'm
because,
going to want to
you're
go
down
out
by
to
the
eat.
ocean. I want to go to a
Uh
seafood
huh.
place, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Uh
that's
huh.
that's it too. And you don't plan that in. I mean, the funny thing is, and I
The
haven't looked into it
gas.
for a while, but we've talked about before about that all inclusive place that we stayed at in Punta
Oh,
Cana
yeah.
and how much that costs. Now, I don't know if it's the same, but that for like 5 days when we did it. Now, this was pre-COVID, but for 5 days when we did it, and I think it included airfare for your mom and me together. It was only about like $2,700, and that was for five days, 4 nights, I think.
Mhm.
All inclusive, all inclusive. So it was all our meals, all our drinks, the pool, the ocean. The only money we spent was like souvenirs
Yeah.
or getting our pictures taken with monkeys.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I think when, that's always what you forget, like, okay, it's not that expensive, I guess, but then I'm gonna get there and we're gonna want to go out to eat at least one of the times, and that's not cheap. And
Right.
then I'm also gonna get food for the house, so like that's gonna be an extra expense. And then the gas to drive out there and back, depending how far, like Destin's, like 6 hours from us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then also some nights I'm gonna want to go get ice cream,
Right.
like
Well,
just
the one thing I will say that I've learned after us driving to um, Marathon Key last year is we live in Florida. We have perfectly nice beaches
yeah,
within like 30 or 40 minutes. I would not drive like 6 hours to go to a beach, even if it's to stay.
it's so
It's
pretty
not
out
going to
there
be that
though.
much. I know, but it's not going to be that much
But it's
different.
because it's West Coast. Like I
Yeah.
obviously I
So
could, yeah, I could do two
so take
hours
the
to
2 hours
Tampa.
and go to Clearwater or St. Pete. Like I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like there's beautiful beaches all around us. There's no like, and don't get me wrong, going to the Keys was nice. It was great getting to say we went to the Keys and we
Yeah,
stayed
I was
there.
gonna say I think it's more for the experience.
Yeah, but like to drive that distance to do it again, I don't know that I would. Might take that flight that Allegiant does for like $99 round trip.
Oh really? That's not bad.
Yeah, no, and
How long is that
supposedly
flight?
it's I don't know. It can't be that long. Maybe a half hour, something like that. I don't know. Um, but supposedly you can get it in the morning. It goes down in the morning like 8 o'clock ish out of Sanford,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes back at like 5 ish in the evening. So if you want to go down to Key West for the day, you can take that plane down to the airport down there, fly back in the evening, and you had just a day there.
$99 round trip? That's actually
Yeah.
not bad at all.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, you'd spend more than that in gas. And by the way, you couldn't
100%.
do it. You couldn't do it in a day because it takes you, I think it took us 5 hours to get down there, something like that.
That's like that train that goes
Oh,
from here
the
to Miami.
Bright Line. Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah,
I wonder where it drops you off in Miami.
so
Where?
when we went on the Princess Cruise a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
we were out of the port at Fort Lauderdale,
Mm-hmm.
and the hotel that we were staying at was like right next to the Brightline station. So we could have taken the
Uh,
Brightline train down and still stayed at the same hotel we did, and probably gotten a some kind of a shuttle to the port, to the
or like
cruise
an
port.
Uber, like a
Yeah.
little Uber.
So I would imagine, like, because in Orlando it's at the airport, the train station for that's at the airport. I would imagine in Miami it's within a reasonable like Uber distance of the airport and or the cruise port. It's just because it would make sense.
Oh, that's interesting. Is it in a good area that it drops you off out there?
Say that again.
Is it in a good area that it drops you off out there? Is it
In
like around
in
things in Fort Lauderdale?
in Fort Lauderdale, it was, yeah, that like where we were, there was the hotel that we were at, which was near this area where there was a park,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually found this water taxi that took you down a lot of the canals there. And that was really cool too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I think you paid like $20 and you could just stay on it for hours, and it went behind all these like multi-million-dollar homes with a lot of them had multi-million dollar yachts behind them. Um,
Mhm.
and that was
Yeah,
really
that's
cool.
always
And
fun.
the pilot, I guess there was a pilot and there was like a guide on there, and they would tell you interesting historical things like, oh, this house used to be owned by, some famous person, or is owned by some famous person. So that was kind of a neat thing.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't know. I'm still trying to. I want to do some trip. I get in my moods where I'm like, I want to stay at the beach this weekend. Let me look at places, and then I look at
yeah.
places and I get discouraged. I'm like,
Yeah, that's the
well,
only
maybe
thing
we'll
is
just
you
take a
should.
day trip.
Yeah, I think you probably like set up alerts too for like Like if somebody's
Price cuts.
yeah, if somebody's got like a rental property and it's available for the weekend and they don't have anybody staying there, they might, run a
Oh
special on it to try to get it
yeah.
rented. I bet you can find things like that. That would
Yeah.
be the thing to look for.
Like send them a message.
You just got
Hey,
to
I
be able to
see you
go on a
haven't
moment's notice.
hey, I see you don't have this today booked. I'll give you
Yeah.
$300 for the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, really.
300 is better than nothing.
Yeah. Is it better than it's sitting empty?
You don't even have to clean it. I'll clean it. I'll clean it myself. I love cleaning.
I'll clean it before and after.
I prefer my cleaning. Normally, y'all's cleaner
Yeah.
doesn't do that good of a job. How annoying is that when you rent somewhere and like it's not
Yeah.
clean?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
sand
Yeah.
on the floor and stuff. That's really annoying to me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was those condos we stayed in sometimes were that way. Like, so your mom would go in there with her Swiffer and all that stuff, and we'd clean it
Yeah, prepared
before we even really set foot in it. Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah. So vacations now versus then.
Not as good.
Not as good now. We do go to more fun places now, I feel like though. Like
I know I was trying to remember like what I did when I was in high school doing it because obviously I wasn't playing outside when I was in high school, but
yeah, no. You're probably just sitting in your room being an angry teenager.
yeah, that was me. Anyways,
Thinking about how
guys.
your parents just don't understand you.
Yeah. I want to go to a party tonight, but my parents won't let me. That's so funny.
All right. I don't have anything else on this topic. I don't know if you do.
No, I don't. I don't have
All
anything
right.
else to say about it.
One of these weeks I want to do an angry rant
We can do
because
ignorance next week.
I've been saving some up.
Writing them in your journal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's in my handy dandy notebook. Yep.
Oh,
All right.
well. Anyways, guys, tune in Thursday for game time. Follow us
Yeah.
on all of our Instagrams, our TikToks, our YouTube, I don't know, I think we have a Twitter, but we just don't
Yeah. And we don't really post on
we
there.
don't really post on there. But maybe if
Yeah.
some people responded to us on there and started writing us on there, it would alert
Maybe
me
we
and I
would.
would start
Yeah,
responding.
exactly. Exactly.
So yeah. Um, till next time. See you in 2 days.
Thanks for listening, watching. Bye.
Bye.